Might wonder what unifies the LOC. Well, there's going to be no acting this year, just talking. Didn't really have time to prepare a proper video that I thought was worthy of commission intro. So this is just where I will talk about our league. We are global number one. We got five countries represented in this league. Of course, myself as Canadian, many other Canadians, lots of Americans, and we have people from England, we have people from Serbia, and we have people from Germany. And honestly, I would love to see those numbers get up even more. So for some of you people overseas or even some of our North American friends, if you know some people maybe in South America, maybe more in Europe, I'm always open to getting some new referrals in, especially international referrals. Next, well, what keeps us unified? Well, how about the weekly recaps, everybody? For anyone that was around last year, the weekly recaps were added, and what a difference it made, right? I mean, to wake up every morning after football week is over and to go over the recap of every single league in the format of what happened, it really does unify the tiers. And I do think it unifies also the dynasties. So of course, we added the new dynasty this year, so we are now five leagues in the LOC format. And this year, once again, those weekly recaps will be featured, adding the new dynasty as well. Last but not least, we are the LOC family. It was funny. This league was once criticized for being a family league. It is a family league. We got wives in here. We got brothers in here. We might even have some sisters in here. Well, so we got a sister-in-law. So yeah, we are family. And honestly, for the teams that have been around a long time, I just want to say thank you. A lot of you have stuck up for me in a lot of scenarios where, I it felt like, is this really worth going on? And lots of shout outs to people like Dushan, Danny, Ryan. I could think of many more, but those are a few that I just think about that were there in certain situations when I really needed another voice, and you were there. So I just want to say thank you to this LOC family for sticking by my side. And really, it's you that makes this the best fantasy league out there. Thank you.
A few moments later.
Hey everyone, guess who's back? It's the commish back here with another draft preview. And this time we got another original owner of the Maple Leaf, a lot of original owners in that division. And it's our beloved Cohen, Lucas, and Green Lightning, who I know has been a bit quiet this offseason, but he is there in the background, trust me. And yeah, it's just been a busy year for you, bud. But, I know how that goes. Life gets busy. But let me just share your screen, or my screen, I guess I should say, and we'll get right into your preview. There it is, Lucas and Green Lightning. Let's see what 2026 is going to bring you this year. So we start with the keepers. And of course, you're going to go with your guy, Justin Herbert. Herbert always seems to come in with a fair amount of hype, but I do know that, the offensive line issues in Los Angeles for the Chargers has been a bit of a problem for Herbert, obviously. We'll have to see how year two under Harbaugh goes. I think it's going to get a lot better. Hopefully, that offensive line can stay healthy and Herbert can put up the numbers that, he's been always hyped to do. And, one of the things I noticed with your keepers, too, that I think is a smart move, you recently just kept Chris Rodriguez for Jacksonville. Not a household name by any means, but a guy that's going to get some snaps in Jacksonville. He's got a relationship with the coach there. He played in his offense before and knows the playbook. So obviously much better than I believe you had Kate Otten you were keeping before. So obviously running backs are a premium, and I think you've done the right thing there by keeping Chris Rodriguez. And then you're going to go triple up here at wide receiver. So the hope obviously is Lad McConkey's going to be getting most of the volume. in for the Chargers, and I do think he will be back to getting most of the volume. I know year two for him was a bit of a quiet year compared to his rookie year, but again, Keenan Allen's gone, so it should open up some targets. And that'll be good news for you if Herbert can hit McConkey for the double dip. It's always good to have that quarterback wide receiver combo that can put up huge numbers for you every week. Then you got George Pickens, which I think is also a great keeper. I'm pretty sure I traded him to you a few years back. And now that he's on Dallas, he's turned out to be a hell of a fantasy player, to be honest. He's playing on the franchise tag. So he's getting a lot of money in the 1 year. But again, each time he's on that franchise tag, he's playing for a new contract, right? Whether that's going to be for Dallas or a future team. But either or, if he wants to get paid, he's going to perform, right? And that's the thing. I always find that these players do perform fairly well in contract years, right? And then you're going with the veteran Chris Godwin from Tampa. Again, no Mike Evans there in Tampa now, so there should be the regular targets, I would say, for Godwin. Likely we'll see a Bucas step up. They got Jalen McMillan, of course, and then Ted Hurst, the rookie. So there's lots of good wide receivers in that Tampa Bay room, but obviously with Godwin now another year removed from the injuries, should hopefully be healthy and ready to go for you. And then at IDP, I didn't even realize you had him, but Miles Garrett, hell of an IDP to have. Broke the sack record last year on a shitty Cleveland team. It'll be crazy to see what he can do on a Rams team, especially if Aaron Donald comes back to plug up the middle, right? What a scary front that would be for a lot of teams with Aaron Donald and Miles Garrett coming after you. And if that's the case, you could see a fair amount of fantasy points there as well. Looking at who else you could have kept, well, I know you did some selling last year, and we'll get into that when we get into your obviously draft picks. But looking at who else you could have kept, I honestly think maybe Mika Parsons, right? But he's coming off the injury. So obviously Miles Garrett is the right choice there. There is absolutely no one else on the roster that I would even consider keeping compared to the keepers you already have in the lineup. All right, so looking at last year, I mean, he ended up okay, actually. He ended up 14th place, and we'll talk about how that's going to be effective for you coming up in the draft. 6-8 record. Your record is still 86-77, so a pretty damn good career record. I do believe that you still have the most top three finishes ever out of any owner that's ever been in the LOC. So you've definitely been close to the dance so many times, and you've been in the dance a few times and lost. So you're almost like the Buffalo Bills of the LOC. But last year when we think about the recap, it was a prep year for you, right? So what I mean by prep year, well, prep years always relate to this, and that's the draft picks. And you've done a good job here. I mean, when we look at what you got going on, you got 9 picks in the first 5 rounds. That's an ideal draft pick scenario to be in. Not only that, but picking fourth and sixth overall in round one. I mean, last year it was Brian having pick 1 and 2, so that tough to beat that. But 4 and 6 is a pretty great scenario to be in. Especially when you look at your keepers, right? Like you got Godwin, he could probably be replaced with a rookie at 4 or 6, right? I would say at 4 and 6, you're probably going to be able to get one of the elite wide receivers or one of the rookies, and hopefully you're just picking one of the better ones, right? And then we'll have to see if Chris Rodriguez is actually going to be a future keeper. We'll see how many snaps he does get. But either or, you might be able to get 2 replacements at keeper there, or you get a good vet and a good rookie, and then you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone because you're getting a veteran that's going to put up points and maybe a rookie that puts up points, but also a future keeper. So lots of ideal scenarios for you there. And then you got the 2 picks in round two that are only 2 picks apart as well, and in round four that are only 2 picks apart. So you got a great opportunity here to really fill up a great offense to start the draft and then focus on IDPs a little bit later. I see you got the no 7 and 9. I don't think that's a big deal considering that, again, the 9 and 5, the picks are front loaded. You still got 12 and 10. And again, that's the scenario you want to be in, right? Like you want to have more picks early on. to try to get the job done. Again, everybody knows what I talk about when you have two picks apart. That's a great opportunity to double up on a position, right? Whether it be running back, wide receiver, tight end, or even linebacker, right? It doesn't matter. It does put you in a position to kind of plan for that if that's the way you wanted to go, or you just keep going with a balanced pick strategy, right? But ultimately, you'll figure all that out as the draft develops. I know the only hard part for you this year is I believe you're going to be on vacation. So, again, I think it's going to be a very important that while you're on vacation, you really just take care of the first 6 rounds for sure. The rest of the draft might be kind of, you could almost let that go a little bit, and obviously just log in when you need to pick, but just get some IDPs in mind that you're going to want to pick in those later rounds. And speaking of later rounds, when I go to rounds 11 and 20, this also looks really good for you as well. You got 2 picks in 11, 2 and 15, 2 and 16, and then you own round 17. You literally have 25% of the picks in that round with 5 picks out of the 20 picks available in that round. You can see no picks in 18, 19, 20, or 14. But that puts your number here at 11, 12, 13 in the middle 10. So 25 picks in the first 20 rounds, which again, it's been the prep year. And, I would say knowing your history of top 3 finishes, you're going to be a dangerous team in that Maple Leaf with this type of draft pick scenario. And you can see there's the last 4 picks there in rounds 21 to 29. Again, going back to you being on vacation, there's a gap there in between in the middle rounds to these rounds where, again, I think you could just say, okay, my draft's over. And if you're able to hang in there that long or at least make those picks leading into that, you're still going to have a great team, right? So, you could kind of forgive those last 4 picks because what's the sense of hanging on for an hour and a half while other people make their picks and you're on vacation? But that'll be up to you. Hopefully, you can make all your picks. That would be the ideal scenario. All right, so looking at what your first pick might be, I think you're going to go best available or running back. The running back kind of pick changed a little bit when you went with Rodriguez, which I just noticed you changed recently. But if you were going to go running back, Ramondre Stevenson and Kyle Monangai would still be there. So if you wanted another running back that could produce, those would be the guys. Talking about the wide receiver keeper that you could get as a rookie, well, Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson very well might still be there. One of them, I think, will be there, right? So that could be an option for you as somebody who could produce right away as well as be a keeper. Or if you want to go the veteran or that balanced strategy, like we talked about, you could go Mike Evans or Christian Watson. I think either one of those guys is also going to produce numbers. And if you wanted to go with a guy that might be a future keeper, Watson's the younger guy, but Evans might actually put up the bigger numbers. I am hearing that Evans has had a great offseason there in San Francisco, and clearly he's the number one guy. There are a lot of mouths to feed in Green Bay, so it could be a little bit different, but so many options at pick 4 and 6, and you very well could get a combination of either one of these 6. Remember, this is sleepers ADP too, so it's not necessarily how way things are going to go or who I would pick for sure. All right, so getting into the barometer chart here, my favorite chart. Bottom 4 could potentially happen if your rookies that you do pick do nothing, if that's who you go with. And Herbert has another further down year. So the offensive line solidified, but Herbert still has somewhat of mediocre numbers. Then maybe Herbert might not be the franchise quarterback that the Chargers thought, right? So that could be very well a scenario that could put you in the bottom 4. Consolation contender with the capital you have, I really do think that you're going to make the playoffs. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't, but poor keeper quality could put you here. I think you did the right thing. Cade Otton was one of those guys that I was surprised you were keeping. And now that you've gone Chris Rodriguez, I think the keeper quality has improved for you. But there still is some weakness there. I don't have a lot of faith in Godwin. He has had the injury history. So we'll have to just see what happens there. In terms of making the playoffs or playoff team, I think you are going to make the playoffs. I think you have a lot of strong depth throughout the lineup, and due to your capital, that's where it will come from, right? And again, 4, 6, all those picks early on, you're going to already have an offense built while other people are still probably still picking the main positional players, right, by those rounds. So it really gives you a leg up, I feel, on the offensive side of the ball, or even if you wanted to go defense. Maybe you go a double pass rusher strategy, right? And you have Garrett with two of the other best pass rushers in the league. Who knows? You got a lot of options, and you really just got to decide what road you're going to take. Division title again. I've said it for all the other Maple Leaf teams. The biggest competitors for the crown. I think this is the most competitive division. I could see anyone winning the division in the Maple Leaf. You got Mother Tucker with a great draft pick scenario. Krista's got a decent draft pick scenario. Weaker keepers though. But then Billsy Bob's, he's got great keepers, but a weaker draft pick scenario. And then, Milan's got a great balance with a great balance of picks. So it's going to be a competitive division, and I'm really excited to see how the Maple Leaf goes down. I'm really sad that the red and white, my division, has to play you guys this year. Just bad luck for everyone in the red and white, and those might be easy wins for you guys in the Maple Leaf as well, because that division is probably one of the weakest along with the American this year. And then when we go to the champion, can you be champion? I think you could, right? If you go all in, pick 4 and 6, produce big time. Like imagine if you were able to bag like Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson at 4 and 6. I mean, then you got future keepers and two guys that might produce big time, and this could happen. And again, if you have a great roster and it looks like an all-in year, that's what the prep years are all about. The prep years become all-in years usually, and that's what it should have been for Brian in the 12th man last year, but he sold. Now are you going to do the same thing? I don't think you would, right? I think you understand that when there's an opportunity and there's cash to be made, that's the chance to go on. Injuries of course could derail that plan, but you just kind of got to see how the season plays out. So anyways, Lucas, I hope you enjoyed your preview for this year. I'm not sure if you saw that message there, but if you could join the mock on Saturday, that would be fantastic at 1 Pacific. That way we'd each have 5 picks. I'm going to make the deadline Thursday so everybody could prepare properly for the mock draft. So if you can make a decision before then, that would be great. And I just want to say it's nice to have a trustworthy, honest co in the background who can make or execute those trades just as quick as I can if I'm not available. And just really appreciate you being here. Have a good season, man.